Allow me to usher you into a cosmos of cerebral somersaults and rhetoric ricocheting off the walls of reason, as we delve into the quagmire of Myron Gaines from Fresh and Fit, who seems to be battling the vicissitudes of criticism hurled at him from the very vortex of the Redpill community.
I don't look at the Red anymore. I haven't looked at it in weeks. So, they kind of forfeited their ear to me, my ear to them, by just hating all the time and just being preying on our downfall and shit like that. Once I saw like stuff like that, like, oh, I never gave these guys $1. Why do y'all on Couch Club? You simping for Fresh and Fit, blah blah. That's when it hit me. I was like, bro, these dudes don't even fuck with us. Why am I even looking at these niggas? Like, fuck this shit. So, for the guys out there that like give constructive criticism, shout out to you guys. I love you guys, but I'm just not gonna open it up and look at the negativity anymore because for every one good criticism, there's like 50 annoying ass comments of some stupid shit where you can only make fun of Fresh and call Chris fat or whatever for so much, and it's like it's not even constructive criticism. It's literally dudes are just literally preying on our downfall. So it's like, why am I gonna even lend an ear to people that don't go fuck about us like that? Like if people are gonna sit there and say, oh, we're not gonna subscribe to Couch Club because you guys are scammers or blah blah blah, whatever the fuck, and it's like we've been demonetized for a year and this is how we keep the show running, then I don't even really know what to say. Like clearly they don't understand capitalism, they don't understand running a business, they don't understand that it's not cheap to run a podcast like this. Like right now, like Fed Reacts guys makes zero money. If anything, Fed Reacts is negative because I spend money to keep it running, but it doesn't generate money. So I just do this because I think it's important. I do it because you guys want the content, and this doesn't make me any money whatsoever. If anything, this thing loses me money, but I want to give you all the content. So I might get a super chat here or there, but it's extremely negative from a cash flow perspective. But people sit there and say, "Oh, Myron, you only do this for the money or whatever." And if that was the case, then I would stop Fed Reacts. I'll stop doing daytime shows. I'll just do after hours and just tax everybody on super chats, and that's it. And I wouldn't like do anything else. I wouldn't bother with like bringing in guests that give you guys value and teach you guys how to make money or whatever. But it is what it is, man. People just live to hate. People live to talk shit about Angie. People live to make random ass comments and talk shit. And that's why, like, to me, I look at it like, all right, I'm not even gonna look at this shit no more. I haven't opened. I used to look at it every day and be like, all right, let me see if I can get some good constructive criticism. I go through all the bullshit. Oh, it's good criticism. Cool. All right, we'll implement that. Blah blah blah. But now, I don't even watch it no more. I don't look at it whatsoever. So they can say whatever the fuck they want to say on there. It is what it is. You guys no longer have my ear. So continue to hate watch over there. Continue to make the comments. Continue preying on our downfall. I'm not looking at you guys no more because you never gave a fuck about us in the first place. And until that Reddit becomes more positive about constructive criticism, I'm okay with criticism. You guys have fucking seen me be in there. Constructive criticism all day. I've even implemented some of it. When it's like just constant, I pray on these guys' downfall, fuck these guys, blah, blah. Fuck y'all, man. Real talk. You guys don't give a fuck about us, so fuck you too. Let's see here. What else do we got here?
Strap yourselves in, because this journey into the tempestuous maelstrom of online discourse is going to be nothing short of a philological whirlwind. Today, the topic at hand is the toxicity within the very ecosystem that Myron himself once helped cultivate. A veritable house of cards, now shaken by the gusts of ill will from those who once cheered from the bleachers. First, let's commence with the enormity of the Redpill community itself. A collective of individuals who claim to have their eyes peeled open to the supposed truths of human nature, male-female dynamics, and the socio-sexual marketplace. Yet, irony abounds when we see one of its most vocal champions, Myron Gaines, turn his back on the very congregation that once hailed him as a herald of hard truths. The Redpill community, that den of so-called reality-wielding philosophers, has devolved into something more akin to a hydra, a many-headed beast, each head spitting out venomous critiques, hoping one of their barbs lands on its creator. Now, imagine Myron Gaines, stoic in demeanor, standing at the gates of this digital inferno. One might have expected him to face these flames with the same bravado that he espouses in his teachings. But no, what we witness instead is a man who, having waded into the toxic soup of feedback and vitriol, decides to pull away, no longer lending his ear to the cacophony of criticism that has swarmed him. The irony is as thick as molasses in January. This same Redpill doctrine that prided itself on being unflinchingly stoic and unmoved by the slings and arrows of the emotional battlefield is now witnessing its figurehead recoil from the very storm he helped summon. The crux of Myron's grievance revolves around the relentless negativity that floods his forums, primarily from Reddit and similar platforms. These critics, many of whom once hosted him up as an icon of masculinity, have now turned against him with the fervor of scorned disciples. What strikes one as most poignant, and perhaps most tragic, is Myron's realization that for every constructive critique, there are 50 vitriolic comments attacking everything from his business model to his physical appearance. This, ladies and gentlemen, is what happens when the monster you create turns on you, when the very toxicity that was once applauded is now weaponized against you. Let's not forget the economic element at play here, which Myron is quick to highlight. Fresh and Fit, as a podcast and as a business venture, operates within the sphere of capitalism, a system Myron himself champions. Yet, the detractors seem oblivious to the economic realities of running such an operation, demanding content while denouncing the methods by which that content is funded. The cognitive dissonance here is almost Shakespearean in its tragedy. Myron, the architect of this Redpill empire, now finds himself the subject of scrutiny, even as he continues to provide the very content his critics consume with unrelenting fervor. But Myron, not one to be silenced, asserts his independence from this cycle of negativity. His decision to no longer engage with the cesspool of criticism is a move of self-preservation, an attempt to maintain his mental equilibrium amid a sea of hate. And who can blame him? When the very people you are supposedly enlightening begin to hurl stones, a man has no choice but to step back, shield himself, and reassess. The problem, however, is that in doing so, Myron risks losing touch with the pulse of the community that once empowered him. The Redpill ethos, after all, is predicated on confrontation, on facing the uncomfortable truths head-on. By retreating from this confrontation, Myron may be seen as betraying the very principles he once espoused. Now, one might ask, where does the real toxicity lie? Is it within the Redpill community itself, a community that has become so entrenched in its own dogma that it cannot tolerate any deviation from its rigid worldview? Or does the fault lie with Myron, who, having reaped the rewards of this ideological movement, now finds himself unprepared to deal with its darker underbelly? Either way, the fallout is clear, a rift has opened, and Myron Gaines, once the voice of reason in this chaotic sphere, is now being drowned out by the very mob he helped create. The concept of audience capture looms large in this narrative. Myron, who once believed that his teachings would be embraced by those seeking self-improvement, now finds himself ensnared by the very audience he thought he could control. This is a tale as old as time, leaders, thinkers, and influencers falling prey to the whims of the masses. Once you give the mob a taste of power, they begin to wield it with reckless abandon, tearing down even those they once exalted. Yet, there is something almost tragic about Myron's defiance. His refusal to engage with the negativity is, in one sense, an admirable act of self-preservation. But in another sense, it feels like an abdication of responsibility. The Redpill community, for all its faults, was built on the premise of engaging with hard truths, of standing firm in the face of adversity. By turning his back on this criticism, is Myron not betraying the very principles he once championed? Or is he simply acknowledging that the toxicity has grown too great, that the Redpill community has become a cesspool of hate, no longer capable of meaningful dialogue? In the end, what we are witnessing is the unraveling of a movement, or at least the beginning of its descent into irrelevance. The Redpill community, once a bastion of hard truths and brutal honesty, has devolved into a snake pit of backbiting and infighting. And at the center of it all stands Myron Gaines, a man torn between his principles and the harsh reality of the community he helped create. Will he rise above the fray, or will he be consumed by the very toxicity he once harnessed to his advantage? This, my friends, is a cautionary tale, a reminder that even the strongest among us can be brought low by the very forces we seek to control. Myron Gaines, in his defiance, may have preserved his sanity, but at what cost? The Redpill community, once his greatest ally, now stands as his fiercest adversary. And in the end, the question remains, who is the real villain here, the creator or the creation?